I have a brother who lives in Japan, and many years ago he married a Japanese woman. And they have two children. I have a niece and a nephew. And my nephew and I have the same name. And so one day I was going to send my nephew a birthday card. And so the card was addressed to Daniel Gurnick, and it was coming from Dan Gurnick. And so somebody saw this and they gave me the look as if, Dan, are you starting to lose it? So I had to quickly address the situation and let them know I was sending it to my nephew who has the same name as me. In our first reading from the book of Exodus, we may think that God has lost it and he's about to lose it on the people, but that's not really what this situation is all about. The first point that this text is really revealing to us is the importance of intercessory prayer. And the other point is that Moses has an understanding of who God is. Moses understands that God is merciful and that God is faithful. And so anytime that we bring people to God in prayer, bring a situation to God in prayer, it's good for us to be reminded and fresh that we approach a merciful and a faithful God. And God will respond always, just not always the way that we're expecting. In the second reading, we can be inspired by St. Paul. St. Paul at one point was persecuting Christians. He was a man of violence. He saw the Christian people as blaspheming. And yet Paul has this change of heart. And really, if God didn't give up on Paul, then certainly God doesn't give up on anyone. And we can be encouraged in how our hearts can be transformed, that we can continue to be like Christ for the people in our lives. In our gospel reading, we have three parables about losing things: losing of a sheep, losing a coin, and also losing a son. Now, these parables are really emphasizing the difference between Jesus and the scribes and the Pharisees. Now, the scribes and the Pharisees saw themselves as the separated ones. They separated themselves from sinners and people like tax collectors because they didn't want to be considered impure. But they also wanted to be a good example. And we can see how Jesus takes a different approach, and Jesus actually eats a meal with these people. He shows that he is open to anyone and everyone, and how important that is. But, the other difference is the Pharisees and the scribes, they see a cause of celebration when you are in good moral behavior. And so Jesus is hanging out with these sinners and these tax collectors, and he's not giving them a lesson on being good moral citizens. He's just hanging out with them. But Jesus, like the parables really emphasize, is that Jesus is one who celebrates someone who repents, or that is to say, somebody that turns to God. And obviously these people are turning to God through the person of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And it's in that there is cause for rejoicing. And so, we recognize in the first parable that Jesus is our good shepherd. The woman we could see as her representing Christ's church, and how that's where we receive the mercy of God through the sacraments and through the Word of God. And then we can see the prodigal father as God the Father, who always is ready to welcome us, always ready to give us the gift of mercy, and really to encourage us to respond with mercy and love towards others. There's times where we obviously probably identify with the younger son. We go our own way. It's okay, God, I got it from here. I'll just go my own way. And then other times where we're maybe bitter and we carry resentments towards certain people. And yet we're to let go, let God. And really our invitation as Christian people is to allow that mercy to flow through us. And so as we gather around the table, Lord, You know, we all have our names written in the book of life. And what a blessing it is that we come to celebrate the gift of life that we have and the gift of sharing in divine life that God so generously offers us each time we come to the table of plenty.